What you're about to read will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about strength and silence. Now, let's begin. Everyone in the small rural town thought of Lila as nothing more than the quiet farm girl who kept to herself, rising before dawn to help her father with the cows, tending to chickens, and spending evenings under the fading sun repairing fences or hauling hay, her boots caked in mud and her hair usually hidden beneath an old straw hat. But in school she was the easy target, the one who sat alone at lunch, who spoke only when called upon, and whose clothes, smelling faintly of earth and barn, drew cruel laughter from the town kids who prided themselves on their stylish sneakers and expensive perfume, and they called her cowgirl, hayseed, and mute mouse, mocking the way she avoided confrontation. Yet what they didn't know, what nobody outside her family knew, was that her late mother had been a decorated martial artist who had once competed globally, and before passing, she had instilled in her daughter not just discipline but an entire arsenal of techniques hidden beneath the disguise of meekness. So while Lila appeared to the world as fragile, she trained each night in the barn, fists pounding on hay bales until her knuckles hardened, shadowboxing between the stalls, practicing kicks against wooden beams until the boards quivered, her father watching silently with eyes full of grief and pride, urging her never to show this side unless life demanded it. And that demand arrived one autumn afternoon when a group of bullies decided that simply mocking her was no longer enough. Led by Vanessa, the wealthy mayor's daughter who believed cruelty was a form of power, they cornered Lila near the old oak behind the schoolyard, shoving her books into the dirt, laughing as pages tore in the wind, and Vanessa sneered, "Why don't you fight back, farm mouse?" "Oh wait. You can't," and the crowd of students erupted in laughter, recording with their phones. But something in Lila's chest stirred, not anger at the insult but a memory of her mother's voice. Strength isn't for hurting, it's for protecting. Protecting your dignity, your dreams, and the innocent who cannot fight for themselves. And when Vanessa reached out to shove her again, Lila stepped aside with effortless grace, her reflexes honed by years of hidden training, and the shove met only air, leaving Vanessa stumbling in confusion, the crowd going silent for the first time, then gasping as Lila calmly bent down, picked up her book, and whispered, "Don't touch me again." But of course the bullies laughed even louder, mistaking her warning for weakness, so they lunged at her, 3 of them at once, and that was the moment the farm girl transformed. Her movements a blur, each strike precise yet controlled, disarming without truly injuring, a sweep sending one sprawling, a block redirecting another into the dirt, Vanessa herself thrown off balance with nothing more than a sidestep and a well-placed push. And the phones that had intended to capture humiliation now captured revelation as everyone watched in disbelief. The quiet, overlooked girl was a fighter unlike anything they had seen, but instead of gloating, Lila simply gathered her scattered things, turned her back, and walked away, the silence behind her heavier than any insult she had ever endured. And by the next morning the video had gone viral across not only the school but the entire town, then beyond, headlines dubbing her the farmyard fighter. Though she hated the name, because to her this wasn't about spectacle, it was about finally being seen as someone who could not be broken. But her life changed more drastically than she could have imagined, for an old coach, a former trainer of her mother, recognized her technique online and drove hours just to meet her, offering her the chance to compete in underground youth tournaments where skill spoke louder than money or status. And though her father hesitated, fearing the dangers of that world, he knew denying her would mean dimming the flame his wife had lit, so he agreed under one condition. She must never lose herself to violence, and so the quiet farm girl stepped into the hidden rings of combat, where opponents underestimated her the way her classmates once had, only to find themselves on the mat in seconds, her reputation growing, whispers spreading that the girl who once mucked stalls was becoming a champion, and as she rose, so did the bitterness of Vanessa, who couldn't stand being overshadowed. So she plotted to drag Lila down, challenging her to a public fight, not in a ring but in the annual harvest fair where the whole town gathered, and though it was against every rule, Lila accepted. Not out of pride, but because she knew walking away this time would embolden her tormentor further. And when the day came, under the lights strung across the fairground, with stalls of caramel apples and the smell of hayrides lingering, the crowd encircled, chanting, waiting, Vanessa charged with reckless fury, but skill without discipline is chaos, and within moments she lay breathless in the dirt, humbled not by force but by precision and mercy. For Lila did not destroy her, she simply disarmed her completely, leaving Vanessa to face the humiliation of her own arrogance, And in that moment the crowd's laughter, once directed at the farm girl, turned into thunderous applause, and though victory tasted bittersweet, it marked the end of one story and the beginning of another, because now doors opened, scholarships, competitions, invitations from fighting leagues, all because the bullies who had once laughed had revealed her secret to the world. But through it all, Lila remained the same girl who rose before dawn to help on the farm, who whispered thanks to her mother's memory every night, and who knew that true strength was never about breaking others but about standing so firmly in your own skin that no one could take away your dignity again. And so when the next generation of quiet kids at school faced mockery, they looked to her not as a victim but as a symbol, a reminder that silence doesn't mean weakness and humility doesn't mean surrender, because sometimes the ones you least expect carry storms within them, and when the storm breaks, the world has no choice but to listen. And if you've made it this far, remember, subscribe now for more stories that prove appearances deceive, bullies fall, and the quietest souls often roar the loudest.